Welcome, and I am Amanda Villarreal, and I'm happy that you are taking some time to learn the latest when it comes to healthy aging and some tips on how we can help improve our energy and our focus and our long-term health. And I have been in the health and wellness industry for many, many years, and I am always excited to hear about the latest in innovations and wellness. And that's part of why I chose to partner with Shackley almost 30 years ago and originally started the products for my own health as I was struggling with anemia and was looking for some safe and natural options. And that is when a personal trainer introduced me to Shackley. And that was my first experience. I started taking the multivitamin and had a very quick turnaround with my health. And that was, again, the start of my journey in how we have continued to not just use Shackley products for our family, but also for clients, and have continued to recommend and share them because we believe in them. And I love the fact that we don't have to worry about, if you're paying attention to the news and seeing a lot of the latest of how many of these big corporations are buying out these smaller ones, and how we're seeing, some of the health brands that we used to trust are now being changed because of regulations and lack of regulations, I should say. And so we don't have to worry about safety, quality, and purity when it comes to Shackley products because they do all the work for us, and I've always appreciated that. So I wanted to share with you guys, and this year for conference, myself and my husband Art, we brought three of our kids with us to conference this year, and it's always fun to be able to experience this with our family. I feel as though this has been a gift, and I've really appreciated throughout all the years the experiences we've been able to share with our family, with our kids, from the incentive trips to conferences to just having them be a part of the Shackley lifestyle, and also for them also being healthier because of the products that they've grown up and used their entire life. So we have 5 kids. I'm also a personal trainer, a nutritionist, group fitness instructor, and a certified functional health practitioner. So everything that I share, I 100% practice, and a goal that I'm always working on is continuing to learn. And that's what I wanted to bring to you guys, with some of the latest information that we have recently learned about. So I am going to walk you guys through some of the things that I feel are really important to share with you guys. So as we start to look through some of these slides here, hopefully you can follow along here and be able to kind of, experience. I just put in a few things here from conference, and just wanted to kind of be able to, put together in a way that you could see, this was the 70th anniversary. And I think that's a pretty amazing alone just statistic to say, is that a company's been around for 70 years sharing health and wellness. And it was kind of neat because they did a lot of displays showcasing some of the history and how some of their products started in Dr. Shackley's desk. And it was just kind of, again, great to experience and realize that we are part of something way more than just vitamins. But looking at how, from the not just the health perspective, but also a fitness perspective. I love the direction of where some of the testing and the research is going. And there were 3 different fitness tests that they had, which is going to be part of which I want to show you guys here in a second, is this new BioAge assessment test that you can do. But these were 3 of the tests. Feel free to take a screenshot of these pictures, and you are welcome to try these 3 tests yourself. But these are some of the numbers that go into this healthy aging assessment, and what we're going to kind of learn about here from some of these numbers, and what this assessment does is it helps us to realize, what we are trying to work for. It's not about a magic pill. It's about looking at the relationship between nutrition and movement, cellular health, and longevity, which is something that Shackley has continued to practice from the beginning. They've invested for decades into research and studies, and people have continued to use the products for over, believe it or not, 60 years. And we have landmark studies from people that have actually used these products, which you can see here, just some of the data in showcasing, some of their I believe, areas that make them extremely special, including they had the very first multivitamin back in 1915. They created the multivitamin, and looking at all the money they put into their research and development and the Olympians that they've continued to support and the patents pending and clinical studies, all things that I 100% believe is why we see Shaklee as the company we do today. And it's also very interesting in how we've continued to see the health of Shaklee ambassadors and members continue to actually improve, which is something that is unheard of. And this is why they have continued to do more and more studies in and why that is. And this is where these clinical studies have actually come from. And I love the fact that we can state that we now have 3 landmark studies that actually prove that what Shaklee claims is actually true, and that if you take Shaklee products long term, you have better health all the way around. And you can kind of see the different landmark studies. The first one was over a 25-year study. The second one was a 10-year follow-up study from the first one. And now we have the brand new landmark longevity study, which this is helping us to understand that our chronicle age and what this means in, yes, we think about how many birthdays we've had when it comes to our chronological age, but how about our biological age, which is an estimate in how our cells, tissues, and our body systems are functioning. So again, might be just a number, but you can have 2 people that are exactly the same age. Both could be, let's say, 55 years old, and they have very different strength abilities, they have different energy levels, they have different cardiovascular fitness, metabolic health, and functional ability. But what we want to go for is actually how we feel. And as we start to realize that, your genes matter, but they don't tell the whole story. It's a combination of all the things that influence aging. And what we are learning more and more is it's that bigger picture of movement, nutrition, sleep, stress, smoking, alcohol, and actually social connections. And aging, we have learned, does not begin with the wrinkles that we see in the mirror. It's not about the gray hair, but instead it's about the age-related changes that begin much earlier, which are actually inside of our cells. And there's 2 battles that we face when it comes to cells, and that is damage and depletion. And our cells are always constantly under stress from, just from normal metabolism, from inflammation to environmental exposures, poor sleep, lots of other factors contribute to. But there's also, at the same time, some of the compounds our cells rely on for energy production and repair start to become less and less available as we age. And this is why we need to start to learn what are some ways that we can combat. I took these pictures from conference. These were a couple of the slides, and I thought this was, just really important to highlight. What is NAD? NAD plus is actually a molecule. It's a molecule that's found in every single one of our living cells. It helps cells convert nutrients into usable energy, and then that participates in cellular signaling and repair processes. So think of NAD plus as part of the cellular workforce. It doesn't just give you energy like caffeine. It helps your cells carry out the reactions involved in producing energy. So think of NAD plus as how it helps with energy. And the big thing that we've learned now through a lot of science and research is that NAD levels actually tend to decline with age. But scientists are studying how much changing NAD plus levels translates into long-term health outcomes. So it's very interesting that how we have found that when we start to pair discussions of NAD plus with foundations, in how we actually see this be a complete system that makes a difference for every area in our body that contributes to healthy aging. And I want to just kind of put this picture on here to kind of introduce a little bit more into what we're going to be talking about here. Partly is this brand new from this landmark study that there's this new pack that they are releasing in this Bio Reset stack. I really wanted to show this because I think it's very interesting of how people are spending so much money to try to change aging on the outside. So if you look at some of these things on here, from microneedling to peptide injections, and people ask, what the approach that we really need to think about is what's happening, how are we addressing the damage and depletion and looking at how we can support at this cellular defense while also supporting cellular energy. That's how we are going to notice how we can improve our health. And this is, again, very exciting to note that this brand new research now into this third landmark study, this Vivix Plus actually addresses both. They have measured specific biomarkers related to cellular aging. And basically the reported changes was equivalent to 8 years of cellular aging in over 2 months. And that refers to the biomarker used in this particular study that they did. And it's very impressive to note that this research is, extremely encouraging to note. You can see here from things like, and I'll just kind of quickly touch on some of these things, but like VO2 max. Again, this is a great exercise tool, is understanding your VO2 max and how it produces energy. And if you can actually do from a cellular level, improving things like your VO2 max, of course, I'm a huge advocate for exercise, but for people that maybe can't exercise, that is amazing. There's an option to actually be able to help increase your VO2 naturally. Looking at your inflammatory markers and how double-digit declines from using this product for just 2 months, a 70% boost in NAD plus levels. And from experiences I've heard from people that have done injections, which are very, very expensive, if you saw there on the last slide, oftentimes don't have this much of a response. Plus, the fact that they are 35 times more usable than those infusions is, again, very, very impressive. And again, our goal here as we start to hear more and more of the testimonials is to learn that, this could go way beyond just helping us for one thing. And that's why I want to kind of share with you guys a little bit about the new Bio Reset Stack that some of you guys might not be aware of, the Life Plus, which is a fairly new to Shaklee product. Again, I know some of you guys have been members for years, but maybe haven't been aware of the new products that have come about. And some of them actually, including our Life Plus, has over 20 years of research. And this came from another company called Bodaire that Shaklee actually purchased. They used a lot of the research they had from this technology of this liquid BioCell collagen. And then they did further research and more studies and have really come up with, I believe, something that's very, very unique. As in collagen, we are seeing it as one of the more researched products out there, but collagen, we're learning, is about the structural protein that's found in your skin, your hair, your tendons, your ligaments, your cartilage, and your connective tissue. So it's beyond just hair, skin, and nails. And our natural collagen production declines with age. So the exact rate differs for each person. But it can be depleted from sun exposure, smoking, your nutrition, hormones, genetics. And rather than saying that, this is how much collagen you lose, it's just important to know that it's really hard to keep up with it. And as we age, that continues to decline faster and faster. So we are seeing amazing testimonials all around, from including Vivix Plus and the new BioCell, which is the Life Plus. And I love the fact that, the testimonials are way beyond just, again, my hair is regrowing or I'm noticing my nails are stronger. Things from helping from a true inflammation level to help with pain. If you're reading some of the testimonials on the screen, degenerative disc disease, lupus. Again, these are not cures. We're not saying these cure, but they make a tremendous impact in how our body can handle inflammation and also helping us to decrease pain. And I'll give you a great example of actually my husband Art, who broke his ankle, unfortunately, in the beginning of June, and how he has been using the Life Plus morning and night religiously, and his recovery, I would say, is actually pretty amazing, and how much strength he's gained back and how well he is doing. And again, you have to contribute it to, the more that we can turn around the that recovery process, the better we are going to feel. And so knowing these options, I believe, can be a game changer for helping so many people. And again, if we can slow down cellular aging, think of this even from the perspective of autoimmune diseases and things that we, cancer. And again, I'm not saying this cures, treats, but we want to look at it as a way that possibly we can slow down the production of some of those. They were also talking at conference, and something I thought was really interesting, something called sleeper cells. And one of the studies actually showed that the new Vivix Life Plus and I don't remember the exact percentage, but it slowed down the activation of sleeper cells, which are known to be cells that contribute to cancer. So anything that we can do to, again, work on prevention is something we should all consider. And that ties in also of realizing that, again, as we age, right, things continue to slow down, but we need to have that solid base. And I like these numbers because I think it helps us to realize that if you see this, by age 60, up to 70% of your collagen is gone. And so if our body doesn't naturally place it, what is going to happen? We start to notice these, these issues of our hair falling out, of less energy, of our skin dulling, of our aches and pains becoming worse. We're slower to move. And the more that we can start to look at how this plays a part in our regeneration, this is huge. For this Life Plus, we have been doing this religiously. I can also even personally give you a testimonial from, I have a rare vascular condition, and I can tell a huge difference in the swelling in my left leg, especially the inside of my left leg. And again, when you're using something that has so many properties to it, I love the fact that the results can be different for everyone. And this is, again, not just collagen. It's way more, and it actually helps to even, they've shown from, I mentioned, connective tissue, bone density. There's even some very positive studies talking about osteoporosis. So again, if you could pick something to do that has a lot of properties to it, I believe this is one really great option for us to look at from a healthy aging standpoint. And muscle. We need to make sure we are highlighting muscle because it is one of the most important organs of longevity. And when you think about it, it affects your strength, your balance, your mobility, your glucose management, and it also affects your independence. And when I teach classes and even the workouts on my AV Wellness app, I'm always trying to think of ways that we can do movements that help us with being able to be independent longer. That means simple skills like being able to balance to help reduce our risk of falls, to being able to get up off the ground, to making sure that we can get out of a chair properly, that we can carry our groceries, we can reach and put stuff away, things that we don't realize are all connected with our independence. And muscle, we learn also, low strength also has a great association, believe it or not, with a greater risk of basically that decrease in muscle mass has actually research studies talking about how you have a greater risk of mortality if you don't have a lot of muscle. So after the age of 30, our muscle preservation starts to decline. And yes, we need resistance training, right? We need to do all the things, but also protein. Protein is huge. So this is another piece of what our studies are showing us, that we need to find ways to be able to supplement with protein, and the Life Shakes make it very easy. It's to me, a less processed way to get a very well-balanced meal option with a high amount of protein. So 20 grams of protein, it makes it a really convenient way to have a low glycemic option that really helps to incorporate even something called leucine, because it has all the amino acids, making this a very balanced. You got to be careful with sources of protein, because if they're not balanced, they don't actually create that building effect in our body. But this is a great way to help. The leucine will help signal muscle protein synthesis. So it helps us with both the recovery, building, and preserving of muscles. So I love that the Life Shake has also been revamped. If you did not know this, the Life Shakes have evolved throughout many, many years, and this is the latest, and they just reformulated them that now there are no seed oils, which is a great enhancement to the Life Shakes. And also something to mention, because this is a very popular topic, is GLP-1s. And, again, my perspective as a trainer and someone that stays up on research, and note, always make sure that the long-term effects are going to outweigh the short-term benefits. So always look into what could be the possible side effects. And if you can find ways to naturally elevate your GLP-1 levels, like the Life Shakes, which have been clinically proven to do that, this would be a much safer approach, and something I would recommend, along with adding an extra fiber, which is something we're also seeing today, that we are lacking more and more fiber. And let's also quickly talk about a brand new little pack. I love these little packs. It's called the Life Essentials. And supplements, do not replace healthy food, right? But they help us provide areas in our diet that maybe we don't fulfill through the food we're eating. And the body needs, right, all the vitamins and minerals cells to help carry out thousands of reactions related in our body to energy, metabolism, immunity, brain function, and tissue maintenance, and a strong foundation. This little pack here gives us a really solid foundation, from your multivitamins to your omega-3. So if you can see here, that green one's your multi, the clear one is your omega-3. This is a new triple magnesium. We also have our probiotic here for gut support, and appropriately chosen actually micronutrients are in this pack, along with a product that's specifically to cognitive health, so your brain performance. This is called MindWorks. So this is an amazing pack that it's also time release. So I do think this is a really solid support system for, as you're heading into whatever phase of life and you just want to make sure you're covering your foundations. This reset stack, I think, is by far one of the best packages that Shaklee has come up with, that I really want to make sure people are aware of, because I believe it's helping to solve a lot of the problems we're seeing with aging. So cellular support, connective tissue support, complete protein, and foundational nutrition is in this entire pack. And I like this approach to healthy aging because it's not controlled by just one product and one pathway. And again, we're not replacing healthy habits, right? We're trying to make habits that are more consistent and provide nutritional support. And again, it's all about creating a healthy routine. So they're designed to be options that can give you a variety of nutrients, right? But I also love that with this reset stack, it's a huge savings. So you're actually saving over $200 on a month supply of this. And I want to kind of show you guys, because we're going to be starting a group here, and I'm really excited about this myself. And two well-respected health professionals are going to be joining me for this group, and we're going to be doing this together as a test group starting September 8th. So if you've been thinking this is a good time, you want to start something, this would be the perfect opportunity. And I'll show you a slide on that here coming up. But let's look a little bit more about the landmark study and the longevity study. These were some of the results from that BioReset stack that I just showed you. Okay, and this is a study of long-term Shaklee users, and the reported findings are exciting because it provides a window into what long-term consistency across nutrition and lifestyle can look like. And these are, again, if you're reading on the screen there, the BioStack users were clinically proven to have a biological age, again, if you're reading this, 11 years younger than their chronological age, which, again, that's something that we all want to go for, be going for, is slowing down the aging process. And I was just listening to a friend talking earlier. Her name is Melanie, and she was saying that she had been doing some testing that tested her biological age. And so she started using Shaklee. She's now an ambassador. She's actually built a huge Shaklee business. But since she has started Shaklee 2 years ago, she has lowered her biological age by 16 years. So again, Melanie, that's a great testimonial, right? And that's what, again, these are real people that actually know, so I like to share their stories. But looking at just some of the areas of health, we look at musculoskeletal health, right? If we can look at ways that we can improve our lower body strength, our flexibility, our balance, these are all things that are going to tie into our long-term health, right? This is a measurement that helps to relate to, reducing our injuries for falling, for mobility, helping to increase mobility, and looking at how we can have the physical capacity to actually enjoy our later years. And also looking at cellular health. This study examines cellular and molecular indicators that are associated with aging. The reported results suggested that participants had biological markers associated with younger functioning. So again, this is not the same as erasing a birthday, but it means it's a measurement tool that is shown in younger people. And when we look at inflammation inside of our cells, this oftentimes also contributes to pain, right? And how we feel. And looking at cardiovascular and metabolic health. This was a study, an area that they checked for blood lipids, insulin, and body composition. So again, looking at some of the improvements, metabolic health is definitely a strong influence in a combination with muscle, movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. It's not just one thing, right? It's a combination, but this is a huge part of our health. And looking at brain health, this is, again, something else that we find that such a, very favorable results in showing that memory, focus, and overall cognition and cognitive performance all improved. That's huge. Again, those numbers there, I think, are very, very exciting and promising to say that, this is very powerful research. And exercise is not only for our muscles, but it's also one of the most important behaviors for supporting our brain health. So yes, I talk about exercise a lot, right? So that is another piece of this. But in especially with this study, I loved also that it connected social connections with this and trying to, help us to realize that this can be one of the most overlooked longevity factors, is reminding ourselves that people need people, and a supportive community can reinforce healthy behaviors, create purpose, and helping with people feeling, a reduction in isolation. Think of, the times not too long ago, which if I'm putting this on YouTube, I can't say it, but we went through a time, right, where people experienced a lot of isolation. And in the long-term perspective, this can definitely be a big part into how our body feels as we age. So again, that BioCell reset stack that I showed you guys, that's the Life Plus, that's the liquid collagen, that is the Life Essentials, that's your vitamin and mineral pack. You have your Vivix Plus, and that is the perfect combination to help say that clinical studies have proven you have a biological age 11 years younger than your chronological age from that landmark study. And again, very exciting to see that, this is the combination of what we are looking at with building health and trying to focus on these 5 longevity pathways. This is something that I think is a really great graphic to remember, reminding ourselves that no single pathway controls aging, that these systems actually all communicate together. And that's what's interesting, is the 5 pathways, we kind of mentioned all of them, but as they influence each other, we want to note that our wellness philosophy has to include all of these things, and we can't just pick one piece. And our goal is to support health span, the years that we remain strong, capable, independent, and engaged, and we're not just focusing merely on our lifespan, which again, we've learned are 2 different things. And I do like this BioAge health assessment. We're going to be sharing this inside of this group. So if you guys haven't taken that assessment yet and you can't find it, I'm happy to send you the link. But it will also probably give you some recommendations according to where you're at with your health. But we are going to do a special program starting September 8th, a BioAge Reset Challenge. Again, myself and Francine and Judy, we're partnering together to bring you guys a lot of information, but we also want you to implement, which is what creates changes, right? So we are going to spend 30 days practicing simple habits that support the 5 longevity pathways. And to participate, you do need to be doing the Vivix Plus in any way, shape, form. I personally prefer people to do this BioStack reset because I do think heading in the fall, you are probably going to feel so much better by starting the full process of habits, looking at, using this as a way to increase your protein, to getting those, maybe your diet gaps filled, and then along with that, slowing down the cellular aging and helping with all the connective tissue properties and bone density. I do really like the reset stack. So that is the way I would encourage you to begin. But it's going to be focusing on, again, not about perfection, a diet, or, crazy workouts, but instead focusing on those key things, right? Focus on strength, focus on protein, hydration, sleep, stress, mobility, and foundational nutrition. And small changes, guys. That's always our focus to help create long-term results. So if you want to join us, get your products ordered, reach out to me if you have questions, and I'm happy to help guide you in what might be the best way for you to get started. I also want to mention we have some new products. This new wild berry sparkling protein, there is a lemon lime, but I do really like, and I would have to say our whole family agrees, the wild berry is a great flavor and a perfect way for some of us that might be struggling with getting enough protein in their diet. So this is a great go-to quick option that's perfect. You can bring with you 40 grams of protein in one of these drinks, and there is a great incentive right now to the end of the month that actually anybody, even if you weren't at conference, you can get this conference bundle and you will get free shipping for a case of the new sparkling protein and the Vivix Plus. So be sure to check that out. And just also as a reminder that there are a lot of options for how you can start to use Shackley, share Shackley. And I think sometimes we forget that one of the best gifts we have is being able to share the opportunity for people that maybe do need help, being able to afford their products, or looking at ways to help supplement income, which I know the way prices are, and us with 5 kids, there are more and more expenses all the time. So, having a business to help support that is a great gift. And I feel like when we can actually help people build health, it's not a job. I look at this as, again, a blessing, that it is a way that we can do good and we can also feel good because we are using the products. And, I would love to share with you guys, this is the brand new Shaklee compensation plan. This is a simple chart. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of, if you're looking for a way to get started, this is a very simple way to do it. And there's a lot of additional bonuses on top of these things, but this is a perfect way that's very simple for you to see. Just sharing with a few people can help really make a difference in how you can start to earn compensation. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. I hope that this was helpful. Of course, I'm always here to answer questions. I hope you learned something new. And as we are building health together, start to think about what maybe your best options are. And, just to be thinking about, again, what is a good way to get started? This by far is the best value I have seen Shaklee put together in a long time. So again, it's a $2.99. This is your month supply. This is your breakfast. So incorporate that into your budget, right? Along with your vitamins and minerals. You wouldn't need any other vitamins. So this is pretty much your entire package. So huge savings. And just to kind of, remind you guys that if you're thinking of, what more could I do with Shaklee, as maybe you also love the products, maybe you're new, but you're thinking, I really would love an avenue to, explore this further. Nashville kind of reminded me of how powerful it was to be in a room filled with people that are learning, growing, supporting one another. It's a very unique community. And conference next year is actually going to be in Atlanta, and there's early bird pricing through August 31st. So take advantage of that. If you're even thinking about it, sign up now. You can actually choose to make this a virtual option if you're not able to attend in person, but I definitely would say try to attend in person if possible. And remind yourself, guys, you can't control every part of aging, but you can influence many of the habits that determine how you feel and how you function. And your birthday, yes, it tells you how long you're alive, right? But it's your daily choices that help support how you live those years. And so to me, this is an investment, and we don't want to be fearful of aging, but instead focus on what we can start doing now to help influence our aging for the future. And that is always my goal, guys. This is, something that I hope that every time I share or I'm working with a client in any capacity that, healthy aging isn't about chasing youth, right? It's not about trying to look younger. It's about building the strength, energy, and health to keep living the life that God has given us to help us feel our best, and that ultimately is our goal. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to continuing to build health with you and share with you for many years to come.